episode 191.
The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Need a show about outdoor living? This is where it's at. With your hosts, Shane Chapman and Way Laurent. Thank you for tuning in. Now let the show begin. Yeah. The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Let's go.
Let's go, he says. So I guess he did it.
You
again.
did
What
cut
is
it
the-
off hard.
Didn't cut it
What,
off.
how is this?
I
What is
turned
the-
it down.
what is
I
the-
literally turned it down with the slider.
It was so like
It was
abrupt.
Oh
like
my
this,
God.
like snap, as fast as you could.
You started talking
It's a
and it was
slider.
still playing the video. You guys are so picky.
I think
Yep.
when we go to get a new one done, we should make a request to the guy. We'd like it to abruptly stop in the middle of the song.
Just pick a point and just
Please
stop
don't fade it out.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I
No
get
look.
it,
Middle of a
whatever.
word, even be like,
Yeah.
"This is the ultimate," and then just over.
And we're all live.
Hi everybody! Welcome
Hey.
to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Sorry to jar you into this episode with that abrupt ending to the
All
intro.
right,
But I
all
mean-
right, I get it.
It's kind of like the end of summer. It just happens.
Don't say that. Okay, well, we decided that select number of people that out in the world that don't matter get really pissed off at us when we go on and ramble too much at the start of the podcast. So we've decided to introduce a segment called 5 Minutes of Garbage Time. I don't think this was ever voted on. I don't think we got approval to use that name, but I have nothing else. So
So if you don't want to listen to this, skip 5 minutes ahead.
that's the point. The
Okay.
point is if yeah.
That's the point. That's
I
why.
won't-
That's
yeah.
the point.
skip
So
5 minutes.
Shane and I are going to argue
Yeah, we're gonna
vehemently
argue.
for the next.
For the
5
rest of
minutes.
you who enjoy this stuff, here you go.
So we have a bunch of topic cards. You ready?
For Brian and Todd in Nebraska and Omaha,
Yeah.
the two guys that complain too much,
Yeah.
go ahead and hit the skip 5 minute button.
Skip. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
A fork is better than a spoon for mac and cheese. Agree or disagree?
A fork is better than a spoon.
I
for mac and
agree.
cheese.
I'm-
Okay,
I'm just
next
like-
card then. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
okay.
a silly one. Why would you ever use a
The
spoon?
week should start on Monday.
Yeah, I feel like I've always believed that. Actually, I just got used to it starting on Sunday.
I'm just not. No, I think the week starts on Monday.
Yeah, I think I agree too. I hate that the world has forced me to believe it should be Sunday.
I agree. Halloween is the most fun holiday.
Nope.
Fully disagree.
We need to put Wade in the seat so we can disagree.
Ooh, a
You and I are
cupcake.
too similar.
A cupcake is a muffin, not a cake.
No, it's not.
A cupcake is a muffin, not a cake.
Do you
Do you-
make
do you
muffins
disagree?
with cake batter?
I would say a
What's
muffin
the
is more like a
difference?
cake than a muffin.
But what's
A
a muffin is more?
Cupcake
Is a
more like
cupcake
a muffin.
a muffin or a cake?
A cupcake is a cake.
A cupcake is a cake.
Yeah.
And you think a cupcake is a cake?
Yeah.
I could get behind it, but what makes a muffin a muffin?
It's a different batter. It's like a
Yeah, it's not.
it's
It's
a dense
more-
it's dense. It's not fluffy like a cake. And you don't put icing
don't
on
put
a
like-
muffin.
Oh, you don't put icing on a muffin.
Right. A cupcake without icing is trash actually.
Yeah.
A cupcake. But so a cupcake without icing is not a muffin, though.
No. No, it's not.
Okay, fine. College athletes should get paid.
A full send. Yep.
Yeah.
Being too hot is better than being too cold.
Disagree.
I disagree.
Yeah. Cold is always better. You can always get warmer.
This is our new segment, 15 minutes of garbage time, because we can't find anything we disagree
Okay, it's okay to drink milk that has gone a day or two past the expiration date.
on.
Agree.
True, as long as it doesn't smell or taste sour.
Okay. When getting dressed, you should put your socks on before your pants.
Disagree.
Disagree.
Yeah, disagree.
Who puts their socks on when they don't have pants on?
Like, I can't say that I've never done it, but it's
But
not,
like, who does that?
not the order I would default to. That's
No.
for sure. I'm not offended by someone who does do it though.
BO is worse than bad breath.
Oh, BO is
Agree.
boy. Ooh.
BO is worse than bad breath. I've worked with a few people
Yeah.
that have had such bad BO that
I would say because you can distance yourself from bad breath.
Yeah. BO just kind
BO
of
sometimes it'll find you.
Yeah.
It'll hunt you down.
there's no such thing as luck.
Disagree.
Nobody can make a bike helmet sexy.
Yeah. I've certainly yet to see one that doesn't
I don't think we found
look like a
anything
nerdy-
What I had like 4 that I picked out that would have been good ones.
we would have agreed on them though.
No, you
That's the
wouldn't.
problem. We just agreed to everything. It's like conversation starters, things
I
you'll
just
argue
know.
about. No.
Texting is as good as a phone call.
Depends how much time you have.
I think texting is the new phone call.
I much prefer texting. Unless, so I've got a limit. If we're texting back and forth and this conversation is getting longer and in depth, it's full. I'll stop mid text and be like, enough of this, and just phone them.
Right.
Because I don't feel like going back and forth a whole bunch. And I also don't want to type a long text. So if the response I'm about to give is lengthy, that's where the texting stops and the phone call begins.
But don't phone me to start.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
phone me out of the blue.
Yeah,
because I'm just not going to answer.
Right. Yeah, I'd like a heads up.
A little
Texting is
complimentary
the
heads
phone
up
call
text.
notification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it needs a phone call, we can have it, but I don't
Right.
want to start there.
Hey, phone me when you have a second.
Yeah, exactly. What if I'm doing something?
Yeah.
Is it okay to take a phone call when you're on the toilet?
Well, I've done it.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
like
depends what you're doing.
here. I've done it here.
Yeah.
I won't pretend I've never been on the phone while I'm on the pooper.
I don't think that's kosher, though.
And depending on who I'm talking to, they might even be welcomed into that knowledge.
To
I might let
knowledge
them know.
that you're dropping some kids off at the pool.
Yeah.
Dropping off a load of lumber.
Yeah. That's much more
It's not
industry
just
appropriate.
sawdust. It's a whole load of lumber.
Yeah.
It's a lift.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to our topic.
Logs in the
I
river.
think we're pretty
Yeah, you're
close
good.
Yeah.
to wasting.
Oh,
enough
welcome
of your
back,
time.
Todd and Brian, whatever names are. You skipped 5 minutes ahead. Here we go. Let's get to the topic.
Hey,
Yeah.
Nebraska Nick.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk? Do you want the title, or I can do it?
No, this is your idea, so
It's-
you're going to swing this one.
Thanks.
You're
Okay,
gonna
so
swing it and wing it.
the title of this episode is "Why Summers Suck for Building Your Deck."
Oh, finally we disagree. We didn't need the cards.
We didn't need the cards at all.
Okay.
So, we're going to talk about all the seasons. Do you think summers suck for building your deck?
Nope.
No, not at all. There's got to be crappy, like summers aren't the best for.
Love it. Love
Anything.
building decks out in the summer.
Do you? You build a lot of them
No, I mean, as the builder or as the homeowner?
as the homeowner.
Well, I mean, if you're getting it built in the summer, you're not using it right now, so that sucks.
That sucks.
You don't want to like watch the deck being built in the middle of summer. It'd be nice if that thing was ready for you in the summer.
Right.
From a builder's perspective, it can be damn hot. That's the only drawback, is it's can be like scorching out there when you're trying to get that job done, which can be pretty tiring on the body. That's for sure. Long hot day takes a toll on you.
And I think rain is a much bigger factor in the summer and the spring. It's harder to work in the rain.
I hate working in the rain. I don't enjoy working in the rain.
Right. But you would work in snow.
I don't mind working in the snow.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like viciously cold. Rain sucks. We don't live in a place where we get much of that in the summers.
This year.
Are you sure about that?
Have you seen this?
Yeah, I'm
year?
pretty confident in it. Like how many rain days? What do we consider a lot? We get like a dozen rain days in the summer, and that's a lot for us.
It
I
feels like
bet you it rained probably like for at least 30 days since I've been working here.
30 days for what? And some of those days was what, like 9 minutes it rained? Vancouver gets 260
Yeah.
rain days a year.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
they rain all goddamn day. That's a lot of rain.
that's a lot of rain.
I would not work outside building decks in a climate like that.
Because you're made of sugar.
Yes. Yeah, I take no offense to that. Like, why would you do that? Your tools get wrecked and you get wrecked and you're soggy. So I left here on, this is 9 minutes of garbage time we're getting to now.
This
It's
is
story
part of it
time.
now.
I had to go to Saskatoon and I was leaving at 3:30 in the morning here on Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning.
And I had to come here first and load the trailer up. Not load the trailer, but hook up to the trailer to leave.
Yeah.
And be damned if I didn't leave my house and it started raining. And I was like, this is going to suck. And I like outran the rain down Ring Road to the point that it stopped raining, but it was following me. And I was like, I got to get to the store. Got to get to the store. Got to get hooked up before the rain comes. Got to the store, backed the truck up, filled the bed of my truck with all the stuff that wasn't on the trailer. Closed the overhead door. Rain starts hitting right as I'm about to go outside to hook up the trailer, and went out and did that in the rain.
Oh.
And so it just rained for that little moment there. But what it did was made my frickin' clothes all wet.
And then you had to drive.
in ahead of a 2.5 hour drive at
so
4 a.m.
Working in the rain sucks.
Yeah, it sucked. And then it like stopped raining for a bit. Then it poured hard from like Lumsden for like 25 minutes. It like just downpoured on us. But it sucked driving with wet clothes on, even for that little bit. And even though I didn't get totally drenched, but it was wet enough that I felt damp and shitty.
Yeah.
And I don't enjoy that. So no, I don't want to work outside in the rain all day.
Right. That's fair. I don't want to work outside in the rain at all.
The snow is fine. The snow doesn't make you wet.
No, exactly.
It can snow a little bit.
Summer, but like
Not scared
also,
of snow.
so for homeowners building their deck in the summer,
Yeah.
the cons are you can't use your deck while it's being built.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. You didn't have it ready to use this summer, so now it's a project for you. So it's not the perfect time to build it, that's for sure. In the middle of summer, you're also not likely to get it like deals on any materials if you're looking for that. Like you'll pay retail for it because that's the busy season. So
That's when it sells.
I don't know if that's a con or not, but that's just how it is. It's certainly a pro for doing it in the fall or winter. You'll get better deals. But in the summer, you're also more likely to find the material you need right now and not have to wait or something.
Right. There's no selection.
Inventory is probably pretty
limited.
heavy at most places at that point in time, so you likely don't have to wait too long. So yeah, there's pluses and minuses for sure for building in the summer. Yeah. But that's when everybody thinks they want to build, especially if you're building it yourself. Because if you're a DIY guy, you don't want to build in the snow, like or the rain. You're probably pretty like fair weather.
You're a fair weather builder.
And so you probably want it to be like 20 above or 75 above. Yep. And you probably don't want it to be over 30.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want it to be over 95. Like you want some moderately warm temperatures so you can do this in shorts and a t-shirt and have a couple beers and not have to like sweat too hard or throw on a jacket. So summer might not be great for you there because it tends to be hotter. Maybe late spring, early summer would be better. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. What about fall? How's fall for building as a homeowner? Or
I think fall's a great time to build. If you didn't do it already, like obviously you've gone the year now without it, but you're in fall and you're about to build the deck. You're probably not anticipating using it too much now. It's at the back half of the season. The temperatures are starting to cool off. You might still get a little bit of use out of it, but you're heading into winter. So like, there's no like, your spouse isn't on your case to finish it because she's got something planned in a month or whatever. There's no weddings in the backyard. There's no grads.
Yep.
There's no like family reunions. There's no desire to use it when it's done because it's just like you're going to finish and that's going to be winter. So whatever. But it's then ready for next spring and you're not caught in the middle of summer without a deck again.
Spring.
Right.
Yep. It gets warm and you can use it.
When the snow melts, you have a deck.
Right.
So that's certainly good. That's a big pro. Are we there? Are we talking pros?
We're talking pros about the fall.
Yeah, I really think that fall is probably the best time. And I'm thinking about this, I guess, both from if you're building it yourself and for the homeowner, or if the homeowner is building it, whatever. Because the temperatures are going to be perfect. Like it'll be moderate, like it'll be warm, but not deathly hot. Mm-hmm. That's when the sales are likely to start showing up. Yep. So if you're not super picky on a specific color or brand or something, you might be able to find yourself a decent deal on a lumberyard such as ours that has a little extra inventory of foggy wharf or something. But you might have the ability to save a few bucks because there's some inventory clearing happening.
Your yard gets saved.
Yeah, that's the one that like some people won't give two rats butts about that. And that now is when I decided to be super conservative. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Shane.
A rat's butt. You and other people are super anal about their glass. It's butts and anal. What is this? Where are we going with this?
Man. What?
Other people, like, they lose it if there's like a trail of footprints in their grass. It's like, that grass is going to take all day to like bounce back up. What are you talking about?
Water it.
Yeah. So if you're somebody who is concerned about your lawn or your foliage or your plants or anything around, then at least late fall is good as the grass is either gone dormant or is about to go dormant, or it's pretty hardy at that time of year. Mm-hmm. So you can't do a whole lot of damage, because if you're getting a large construction project done in your backyard, it's going, like, the lawn is going to take a beating. Yeah. There's no way around it, really.
Yeah.
If it's a in and out in a day or two, maybe not. But if this is a project where there's a crew in the backyard for a week, 2 weeks, a month, longer, who knows? And there's digging happening and there's machinery back there and there's saws and tools set up and there's sawdust and there's shit being thrown all over the place and there's 4 guys working in the backyard back and forth and there's a trailer backed up. Like it's going to have some wear. Your yard's going to have some wear.
For the most part.
And often people, when they're replacing a deck, that deck was there for 30 years. So they had planted all these flowers and shrubs around the deck and the new deck's the same size. So you're working right around these people's garden beds. And it's like, please be careful. Yes, I will try. I will do my best to be careful. However,
but I have to step into the plants to put the fascia on.
If the plant is my number one concern during this job, and that's what's on my mind the most, I lose fingers and you have a shitty deck at the end of this. So I need to focus on what I'm good at and being safe. And I will do my best to also avoid the plants, but I might step on one. Heads up.
Yeah, exactly. So, what about planning? Planning in the fall.
Planning is everything.
You didn't even have to press the button. But planning in the fall is probably like late summer,
are you talking
fall,
like planning in the fall to build
in the winter or spring even? Like
there's no such thing as planning it too early. Like
no.
Because some people think that getting a deck built is like getting a dresser from IKEA this weekend, that you can just show up today, put it in the half ton, and by the end of the day you have a deck.
Done.
That's not usually how these things work.
Right.
They take a little bit of planning.
Money.
Yeah. So especially if you're going to go through a permit process or if this is a larger deck that requires some engineering, like all that takes time. So it's not a great idea to just think you're just going to whip something up. If you're building a small deck and it doesn't need a permit or whatever, then sure. If you show up here at 9 o'clock this morning and you want to have material on site by 11 and you want to start building, that is possible.
Right.
But you better have your stuff figured out before you get here at 9.
You're already going to have a plan.
Right. You've already done the planning probably at that point. So, but if it's a larger project, it could take a few months to get things kind of lined up and to where you want to go. And so if you're planning on building in the spring, then the time to show up and start figuring it out is not March. Show up in October or November, figure it out.
What's better even in like September, even August, because like, at least where we are, it might snow. You don't want to be like walking around in the backyard trying to figure out what your deck is going to look like in the snow, right?
Potentially, yeah. Like it's not unheard of for us at least to get a snow day in October. Like usually those ones don't stick around. It might drop a few flakes and away it goes. Usually the snow doesn't really stick around until November, maybe even December.
Yep.
But yeah, like temperatures start to chill off, that's for sure. But figure your stuff out. Like I said, you might be able to take advantage of those deals that are on in February, even though you're not building to the spring. Throw it in your garage if you have to. If it's the difference between $7,000 of decking and that same decking being $5,700 or something, then for $1,300, maybe not a bad idea to get them to deliver it and put it in your garage and park on the street for a couple months, and then you've saved $1,300.
What about contractor availability?
For wanting to start in the spring?
Or even like what does contractor availability look like in the fall and the winter?
Well, in the fall, like this is area specific a little bit. I'm always speaking from my worldview, which is not a lot of guys build super late into the winter. Some do. But generally, the rush of traffic for people looking for somebody to build a deck starts in the spring and continues through the summer. And by the fall, people stop inquiring. So their lead time tends to shorten as they continue to do projects. They're not pushing out their lead time at the same time. So it starts to narrow again. So if you call a guy in April, he might tell you August. But if you call him in August, he might tell you October. Then maybe you only have to wait 2 months. Like the lead times get shorter. Call him in October, he might be able to do it in November or October. Even
the next day.
Yeah. I've been waiting for this phone call.
Yeah.
So certainly it's a little bit easier to get some communication from and some planning from and some dates from a contractor in his slower times.
Right.
Which is
slower
not
times.
Spring and summer.
Right. For some places, though, it could also be the opposite, right? Like summer could be their slower times.
Hey, if you're in
hot areas,
southern Texas or Arizona or something, and things actually for them, they take it easy a little bit more. Don't send me any emails. Not take it easy, but they don't. Some crews, they don't work in the middle of the afternoon in the summer because it's not safe.
Why would
it's
you?
110 degrees out
Yeah.
and humidity, and like guys are dropping from dehydration and heat stroke. Well, that's not ideal. A lot of them will start super early in the morning and be done by noon.
Yeah.
So that could be a slow time. And then in the winter, when things are more moderate and they don't get a harsh winter like us, that's when they can really cruise. It's 70 degrees out, 60 degrees, and they can just fly. So yeah, it depends on your area a little bit for sure, but pick the slower times if you're hoping to get something done quicker or receive instantaneous communication from a contractor. Then obviously if they've got more time for you. So prophetic, I know.
Prophetic. What about what are some cons for working in the fall and winter? Or
I don't think
getting
there's
it
really any
built?
cons for the fall. Not off the top of my head anyway, but for the winter, I still think winter's a decent time to build a deck. Not for DIY Todd.
Right.
Like he's not going to
DIY Dan.
But it depends where you are. Winter for somebody in Florida means a different thing. Like
Right.
in my worldview, not many DIY guys are going to build a deck in January here.
If I'm a snowbird flying down to Florida, maybe I'll build a deck.
Right. But if you're in Minnesota or Saskatchewan or New Jersey, you're probably like DIY guys aren't doing too many decks in the middle of the winter. That said, there's nothing wrong with doing a deck in the winter. The only thing is you might have to take a few extra, not precautions, but like a few other. You have to understand the nuances of the products you're using in a harshly cold environment.
Yeah. How does the material react in the cold?
How do you react in the cold?
Shrivel
Shrivel
up.
up? Yeah, it does too.
Yep, exactly.
So depending on the material, like wood is largely unaffected. It can freeze if it still has a high moisture content to it. But even if it freezes, it's not really that big of a deal. You can still drive a screw through it and whatever. You can still work with it.
Okay.
But composite, PVC, plastic, anything does shrivel up and get a bit more brittle in the cold. And so with composite, it's not too bad. But with PVC, you have to make sure your blades are make sure they're sharp, which you should anyway, but even more important in the winter. Because if not, they can chip potentially.
Really?
Understand that the materials have contracted lengthwise as much as they're going to. So if you're installing something in January and it is below freezing out, well, that board is shriveled up, and when the sun gets out and starts beating on it, it's going to expand a bit. So you got to leave a little bit of room for that, which every manufacturer tells you to leave expansion gaps no matter what the temperature is. But even more important in the cooler months, most of them will have different requirements depending on the temperature.
Yeah.
So for example, Trex will say if it's over 40 degrees Fahrenheit, leave this much gap. If it's below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, leave this much gap. TimberTech, I think they say between 32 degrees. They'll just tell you to leave more room for it to grow if you're doing it when it's really cold. But doing it when it's really cold, in my opinion, for the appearance long term, is better because it's better to install it when it's cold and shriveled up and will grow into its shorts.
Yep.
Than doing it when it's fully expanded and will shrink and will never grow back.
Right.
So, and then people don't like what their joints look like and they're grumpy about that. And it's like,
So would you say it's best to do detail-oriented decks, like detail-oriented work in the cold weather? You have like a lot of water falling or
like, I see where you're going with that.
miter
And
joints.
yeah, for specific things like that, probably. But where you might lose out on that is potentially maybe you're not in the zone as much because it's cold out and you're wearing all this gear and you're kind of like your movements restrict a little bit and maybe you're wearing big fat gloves. You get, I wouldn't say that your quality workmanship gets better in the winter by any means, but for material's sake, it might be easier to plan or control the material better when it's cooler out than when it's really hot out.
Right.
That's all I'm saying, Bryce.
That's all you're saying?
That's all
All
I'm
you
saying.
saying?
So I was like, so what's the best thing to do on your deck in the winter, building wise?
What's the best thing to do on your deck in the winter building wise?
Yeah, like are like piles better to drive in the winter?
No. Well, it depends. They like early winters. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Piles can go in at any temperature. Helical screw piles, if that's what we're talking about, drive just fine in the summer. They're harder to drive when the ground is frozen up, but early winter, it's probably not frozen yet or not too deep, so I can carve through that pretty easily. They've got things they can do to get screw piles into frozen ground now anyway, whether it's like a guide bit, an auger bit for ground with the frost. Some guys use heat rods to
Pound those heat rods down in
melt
there.
the earth around where they're going to drive. Like they can
Yep.
do it. It's just more labor intensive to do it.
Yeah.
Concrete, you can still do. You can still auger out the ground when it's frozen. However, you have to tarp and keep the temperatures a little bit more stable for the concrete to cure. So a few things there. I don't think there's any advantage to doing piles in the winter over the summer. Not that
No.
part. And so if you know you're going to build a deck in the winter, you can go ahead and put your piles in beforehand. Put the piles in the fall before things freeze up, whatever, because
Yeah.
they're not hurting anything. Get them dropped in there, and that way they're ready to go when you're ready to go.
Yeah.
But aside from that, the only thing I don't like about building in winter is when you do get a lot of snowfall and your piles aren't covered. Here's the biggest tip.
There you
Cover
go.
your piles. Cover your material piles, because the worst is when it snows like crazy, covers all your material, then warms up a little bit and thaws it, and then refreezes, and then when you pull your 2x8 out of the pile, it's got a bunch of ice stuck all over it, and your speed square becomes an ice scraper, and you spend half your time like breaking lumber apart and
Right.
scraping it off and ice planing it, we'll call it. So there's that part, but I mean, easy enough. Throw a tarp on it. Buy a tarp or ask your lumberyard for a lumber tarp
Right.
and
They got lots of those.
cover it. Every day you lift it up and it's brand new. It's got no frost on it. It's got no ice on it. That's the way to do that.
That's the way to do that.
I'm not saying I was that smart when I used to build, but
Yeah. What did you do?
I learned.
Oh, you made a few mistakes.
Well, maybe we'd tarp it sometimes and then lose the tarp, or use the tarp to build a shed, just warm up in, or whatever.
A lean-to. So,
Yeah, so-
what are the worst things about building in the summer? Just to like come back.
Just the heat and the chaos.
It's just that's it.
I think, like, for the contractor or the person building it, it's the heat, and for the homeowner, it's the chaos of summer.
Mm-hmm.
Because for a variety of reasons, the contractor's slammed,
Right.
and there's probably not a person out there that when they hire somebody to do something doesn't want their full attention and wants more updates than it's probably realistic to expect, and they want to know when the contractor is going to be there and when he's not, and if he's not there at 8 o'clock, they're like, "Where is he? This is such bullshit." But yet at that exact time, that contractor is being pulled in 5,800 different directions because they've got 6 jobs on the go potentially, or the lumberyard couldn't get the material because it's so busy they sold out and the distributor didn't have it anymore, or God forbid the contractor wanted to spend some time with his own family and do something in the summer.
Right.
And then how dare he took a day off in the middle of him doing your job.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to be getting worked up about that kind of stuff, then maybe do it in the off season when it's slower and you can have their full attention.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But
And the summer almost always seems like a time where, like, not only are the contractors in a rush, but the homeowner's always in a rush, right? Like, they want it done tomorrow because they have this event. They have a pool party on Saturday. So
yeah,
their
they're
deck built.
antsy to use it, which adds to the anxiety.
Yeah.
Whether it's event related or not, they look, if it's a beautiful day, they're like, God, it'd be nice to be out in the backyard. And they're like, but here we can't be because this guy's out here. And it's like, it's not. Don't hate
his
him.
fault,
He's here helping you out.
He's building your deck.
But it can get frustrating if you're wanting to be out there using it and it's not happening fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't actually even mean that it's not happening fast enough. It's just not happening fast enough for you.
At your speed.
Yeah. You probably don't know how long it should take,
Right.
or what parts, which stages take longer than others. We always talk about this with contractors. It's like everybody loves the framing stage because shit happens so fast. It's like you put the piles in, that might take a little time. Once you start framing, it's like, brrr, the deck's up. Homeowners come home, they're like, holy smokes, you guys are flying out here. This is incredible. They tell their family, like, yeah, the deck's probably going to be done tomorrow. Like, they built the whole thing today. They just got to throw a couple deck boards on. And then decking time comes and it takes a week, and they're like, this is such bullshit. They should have been done on Wednesday. They're still going. So they don't understand where the time gets chewed up. So even between like the rough framing and then you go and do all your back blocking and all your
blocking and
bridging
stuff,
and
yeah.
everything else, like laying joists it happens fast, and visually it makes an impact really quickly because a large visual component is.
It's a lot of
Now you can
material all
see
at
it.
once.
And then when you start blocking, to the customer's eye, nothing is happening. The deck is still the same size and same shape, and there's no deck boards on it.
You put a few of these twigs in between these two
It's
boards.
like, what did you actually do today?
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
all you did is put all those little blocks in? Yeah, all 97 of them. What are you talking about?
And each one of them is 3 screws on each side.
Right? Anyway, so rant over.
Rant over.
But yeah, if you're going to be anxious about the project, then schedule it when you're not wanting to be using it, so it doesn't matter to you. If the schedule overruns by a few days or a couple weeks, it won't matter because you weren't out there anyway.
Yep.
So it'll make the whole process go a little bit more smoothly for you and the contractor, and you'll stay off stepping on each other's
Coattails?
coattails,
Coattails?
shoes, stepping on their toes. There it is.
We got there. It just took a little while.
Like everything we do.
Yep. Exactly. Well, are there any other good reasons to not build your deck in the summer?
No, if I had to choose,
that should be the question.
I'm going to rate the months for you. Fall, I do believe, is probably the best time.
Best time
Whether
is the fall.
you're building it or you're hiring somebody to build it. Fall's great.
So only build in the fall.
Just build in the
That's
fall.
what Shane just said.
I don't even want to see you
Don't
next
build
year.
the rest of the year.
Come plan in
Just the fall.
June. No, fall's great for all the reasons we talked about. I would then say
Here's the tricky part. What's the next best season?
I would like to say spring, because then from the homeowner's perspective, if you get it built in the spring, then it's ready for summer. But from an actual building perspective, it's kind of shitty in the spring.
Wet.
You're either
melty.
still half frozen on shit or it's muddy
Right.
and it's potentially rainy. And it's just like,
Yep.
and the weather's hit and miss. It might be nice and it might be 80, or you might have a shitty day and it's raining and 52.
Or there might be snow in May.
Or you might get snow again, here, who knows, right? Yeah. So spring is a great time to do it if the weather's cooperating, but it's really kind of hit and miss. And it's an exciting time because summer's coming and it's starting to get nice out and the winter thaw is happening and you're ready to rock and roll. So I would
It's just hard to be ready for spring. That's the other thing. It's hard to be ready to have your deck built in the spring for a lot of people.
As a person building it, I would prefer fall first, then summer, then spring, then winter.
Fall's number 1.
We're going backwards. Fall, spring, fall, summer, spring.
So summer might not suck as much.
Not because I never minded the heat.
Right.
But I also, for us, 110 day happens here and there.
And there's always
it's not 110 every day with humidity.
65 kilometer wind.
Yeah, it's usually got a breeze here and it's dry. It's a dry heat.
It's dry heat.
So, but I didn't mind that. If the spring was not sloppy, then I would prefer it. I'd prefer the temperature to that.
Yeah.
But there's always running that risk of walking around in mud in the back of a yard in Regina, especially with freaking clay everywhere.
And you
your
can't get
boots
that
end
off
up
your boots.
weighing 20 pounds each, and you're dragging mud. That's awful.
That's awful.
I might even say I'd prefer the winter over that
Just
shit
trying to
than
dig
that actual
piles.
environment. Ugh.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But as a homeowner, I think best time is fall first again still.
Fall.
And then probably spring, because you don't care if it's mucky. It's not warm enough yet that you're really wanting to be out there too much yet. Anyway, the progress is happening. As long as it's ready for summer, then you're probably happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the homeowner, probably winter.
I think winter's a great time.
You don't want it happening when you're wanting to use it. So summer's probably the worst time, to be honest, if you're not having to build it and you just paid somebody.
Yeah.
So what did I say? Fall, spring, winter, summer.
Fall, spring, winter, summer.
Either way, fall's the best time.
Winter's great for a homeowner because you're not outside on your own deck,
You
right?
do not give
why
two
the
shits if
hell
that
would
thing
you be
takes
in the
all winter.
backyard?
I've built decks in the winter, and the homeowners will often come out and be like, "What are you doing here today? Why are you even here? It's
Right.
cold out." It's like, yeah, it's January. It's going to be cold every day. But you don't have to be here. They don't care.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we're not using this thing for 5 months. Go home. It's cold out.
And so,
And you're like, I'm dressed for it. I'm used to it. It's fine. You're inside where it's warm and you work from home, and right now you're having a coffee and you're like, oh, it's so nice in here. You're not in the same headset as I am right now. I didn't wake up and think, oh, I'm going to have a nice cozy day at home.
Yeah.
I woke up and thought, get your shit together. Let's go build decks. When I walked out here, I'm warm. I'm fine.
Yep.
I have 3 layers on underneath.
two
I have
Tim
a
Hortons,
heater in the trailer if I really need to, but
2 coffees without coffee sleeves on them
Yeah.
to keep my hands warm.
yeah, that are then iced within 7 minutes. That was so dumb. But if you ask me, I've made some dumb decisions in my life financially, but if you want to ask me what the dumbest financial decision was, it was buying coffee at Tim Hortons while building decks in the winter.
Yep.
What a dumb thing. I would do it because I wanted coffee in the morning, so that's what I do. and it'd be like you'd get it because you want to drink that coffee. But I would get it,
Too hot to
get
drink.
too hot to drink, take it outside, have one sip, set it down. The next time you go back 15 minutes later for your second sip, and it's already ice. So what was the point? I wasted $2.41 every day.
My
all
trick,
winter.
my trick when I worked outside in the winter was to get a like medium or small coffee.
Just so you'd at least have a
you,
shot at
you
finishing
drink
it.
some of it.
I was too and the dumbest thing is just put it in a bloody
Yeah,
put it
exactly.
in a bloody Yeti mug. It'd be fine. It was like
Yeah, but
you
then
use a proper thing, it'll stay warm for hours.
Yeah, that's true.
But I wasn't prepping coffee at home, and I wasn't bringing a mug to pour it into. It's like I said, it's dumb. Don't judge me.
Okay, so so for the homeowner, the best time to build is fall, spring, not fall, winter.
For the homeowner getting it built,
Yeah.
fall, spring. Well,
Like fall, winter seems like the
I see what
best.
you're saying. You could go that way.
Fall, winter, spring. Summer's the worst.
You know what?
for a
I'll change
homeowner
my
to get
answer
built.
just for you because then it's in order, just which direction.
Right.
So for a builder, fall, summer, spring, winter. For a homeowner, fall, winter, spring, summer. Boom!
So you go back and
Hit
forth.
it.
Yeah.
Episode 191. Thanks for tuning in.
The only thing I was going
It's
to say
over.
about the winter for a contractor that might be nice is that there's less pressure on you to get it finished too.
100%.
Because that homeowner doesn't give two hoots.
And again, depending where you are, it could be absolutely perfectly ideal to
The
build in
cold
winter.
season.
There might
How's
not even
that?
Be, yeah, there might not even be a weather concern there.
Yeah.
Like where we are, we're about as shitty building weather as you can get on this continent.
Yep.
In a populated area. I'm sure it's worse up north.
Well, but even then, there's way more fluctuations here. That's the problem here.
Right.
It goes bang. There's 4 seasons.
Yeah, we actually get all 4 of them. Real
Sometimes
ones.
in 1 month.
Except this year we skipped spring, it seemed. But
We did.
yeah, so that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
That's your answer, and you're sticking to it.
Yeah.
Don't build in the summer. Always start in the fall. Episode 191.
Tips for a great deck experience.
Right? Summer suck for building decks. I think we're done.
I think this is the part where you can hit the
Trying
music.
to music
Just
is out.
hard cut it in though. Like don't leave it in.
Shut
Just like
up, shut
just
up,
play
shut
it.
up.
Hey, thank you for listening to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Now you know what we're about. Check the site, come and shop. UltimateDeckShop.com. Hit us right away for sponsorships or tell us if you want to collaborate. Let's go. Check us out on any social networks. Thank you for listening.